Imagine this. Your paycheck hits your bank account. For a moment, it feels like progress. You think, okay, this month I'll finally start saving more. But then, life happens. Bills, groceries, a few small purchases that don't feel like much in the moment. And before you realize it, most of that paycheck is gone. Not because you did anything reckless, not because you're bad with money, just because that's how life works. And the strange part? Millions of hardworking people repeat this cycle for 20, 30, even 40 years, working harder, earning more, yet somehow never feeling like they're getting ahead. But then there's a small group of people who do something slightly different, not dramatically different, not risky, just different enough that by their late 30s or early 40s, their investments quietly cross 7 figures. And the crazy part? Most of them started with completely average incomes, which raises an interesting question. What do they understand about money that most people don't? It turns out the difference often comes down to a tiny shift in how they think about spending and saving. A shift so small it's easy to miss, but powerful enough to completely change someone's financial future. Look, personal finance advice online is usually one of two extremes. On one side, you have the people telling you to cut every small expense, stop buying coffee, cancel every subscription, never spend money on anything fun. And honestly, that advice isn't realistic for most people, because life isn't meant to be lived like a punishment. But then on the other side, you have the opposite message. Just make more money, start a side hustle, build a business. And while increasing income can absolutely help, that advice ignores something extremely important. There are plenty of people earning good money who are still financially stuck. So the real question isn't just how much money you make. The real question is how you think about the money you already have. Because the difference between someone who stays financially stressed and someone who quietly builds serious wealth often comes down to a very small psychological shift. Not a complicated investment strategy, not predicting the stock market, not finding the next crypto that explodes, just a 1% shift in perspective. And here's the thing, once you understand this shift, you start seeing financial decisions completely differently. Spending feels different, saving feels different, even small purchases start to look different because you begin to realize something that most people never fully understand. Every dollar you spend today is doing one of two things. It's either building your future or silently stealing from it. Now, before we go deeper into this idea, let me quickly say this. If you're someone who wants to understand how money actually works, how ordinary people quietly build wealth, and how small financial decisions today can completely change your future, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because on this channel, we break down the psychology and mathematics of money in a way that's simple, practical, and actually useful in real life. Not complicated Wall Street jargon, not unrealistic get-rich-quick promises, just clear explanations of how wealth actually works. And today's topic is one of the most powerful ideas in personal finance, because once this concept clicks, you start making decisions the way future millionaires do, without even realizing it. The lie most people believe. Here's something interesting. Ask the average person how people become millionaires, and you'll hear answers like, they started a business, they got lucky with investments, they had a really high salary. But here's what most people don't realize. The majority of millionaires aren't celebrities. They're not tech founders. They're not day traders. They're regular professionals, teachers, engineers, managers, small business owners, people who build wealth slowly. And the way they did it is almost boring. They simply made a series of small financial decisions that favored their future self instead of their present self. Which brings us to the most important shift in this entire video, the 1% mindset shift. Most people ask this question when they're about to buy something: can I afford it? And look, that seems like a responsible question, but financially successful people ask something slightly different. They ask, what is this costing my future? Now, at first glance, that sounds like the same thing, but psychologically, it's completely different. Because can I afford it focuses on today, your bank balance, your credit card limit, your next paycheck. But what is this costing my future forces you to think about time, and time is where wealth is actually created. The math that changes everything. Here's a simple example. Imagine investing $500 per month starting in your mid-20s. At first, it feels like nothing. Some months it even feels pointless. Your account barely moves. The progress feels slow. But something interesting begins happening over time. Your money starts generating returns. Those returns begin generating their own returns, and eventually the growth begins accelerating. At first, it feels like pushing a heavy rock uphill, but years later, it's like that rock starts rolling downhill on its own. This is the power of compounding, and here's what most people don't realize. Compounding rewards time, not perfection. You don't need to invest huge amounts. You just need to start earlier than most people do. The real enemy: lifestyle inflation. Now here's where things get tricky, because most people don't stay broke due to bad intentions. They stay broke because of something extremely normal: lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, you upgrade your apartment, you buy a nicer car, you start eating out more, and none of these things feel irresponsible. They feel like progress. But slowly, quietly, your expenses expand to match your income, which means your ability to invest never really increases. You're just living a slightly nicer version of the same financial life. This is where it gets really interesting. Future millionaires usually do something small but powerful. When their income increases, they don't upgrade their lifestyle immediately. They delay it, even just for a few years. That delay creates something extremely valuable: investment momentum. Because every extra dollar invested early has decades to grow, and once that snowball gets big enough, the math starts working in your favor. The psychology behind it. Now you might be thinking, okay, but if this is so obvious, why doesn't everyone do it? Because humans are wired for immediate rewards. Your brain loves things that feel good right now. New gadgets, better cars, nice vacations. The reward is instant. Investing, on the other hand, feels boring. You put money away and nothing exciting happens for years. But the people who build wealth understand something powerful. They stop seeing investing as losing money today. They start seeing it as buying freedom later. The millionaire habit loop. Here's a pattern that shows up again and again. People who build wealth tend to follow this order: earn money, invest first, spend what remains. Most people do the reverse: earn money, spend most of it, try to save whatever is left, and usually nothing is left, which is why systems matter more than discipline. The three-step system. If you want to apply this mindset shift immediately, here's a simple system. Step 1. Automate investing. Set up automatic transfers into investments every paycheck before you even see the money, because if money never sits in your checking account, you're far less likely to spend it. Step 2. Capture raises. Whenever your income increases, increase your investing slightly, even just a small percentage. Over time, that small change compounds into something massive. Step 3. Control the big expenses. The biggest financial decisions usually come from housing, transportation, and lifestyle upgrades. Keeping these reasonable gives you the financial margin needed to invest consistently. Imagine two people. They graduate at the same age. They earn roughly the same salary. One person decides to start investing right away. Nothing dramatic, just small, consistent investments. The other decides to wait until life feels more stable. 10 years later, the difference between them becomes enormous. Not because one worked harder, not because one earned more, but because one gave their money more time to grow. Look, most people think building wealth requires something dramatic: a huge salary, a successful startup, a lucky investment. But in reality, wealth is usually built through something much quieter: small decisions, repeated consistently, year after year. Because the same forces that slowly drain people financially can also slowly build enormous wealth: time, consistency, and compounding. And the best part? You don't need to completely change your life to start. You just need that 1% mindset shift. Stop asking, "Can I afford this?" Start asking, "What is this costing my future?" Because the people who become millionaires early in life aren't usually doing anything extraordinary.
They're just thinking about money a little differently, and they start a little earlier than everyone else. If this video made you rethink how you look at money, hit the like button so more people can discover it, and subscribe if you want more videos breaking down how wealth actually works and how ordinary people can build extraordinary financial futures. And before you leave, ask yourself this: what's one small financial decision you can make today that your future self will be incredibly grateful for?